Hey guys, make sure to like and subscribe, any support from y'all is appreciated. If you want me to post a specific manga or novel, leave a comment and I'll try my best. If the video is too fast or slow for your liking, then you can adjust it in the right corner of the video. My current goal is to hit 500 subscribers. After that, Sota talked with Jean alone. She expressed herself by saying that she also wanted to join the Dark Oculus Legion. The other members of the fan club followed their vice president and said the same thing. Please, let us join your legion, Lord Sota. Sota rubbed his chin while looking at them. There's no doubt that these girls will follow his orders. All of them admire him so he could use them. They were better than those adventurers. You can train them slowly and they will become loyal to you. Xianxia said to him. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I could train them so they are better than those adventurers. Sota nodded while rubbing his chin. Okay, I'll reserve some seat in the Legion for you, so all of you had to register in the Adventurers Guild. They were surprised to see that Sota agreed to them. They were happy from the bottom of their hearts. Sota coughed forcefully to gather their attention. Sorry, we're being rude. The girls quickly apologized to him. They were just happy to the point that they couldn't hold their emotions. They were thinking about living in the headquarters. Living in this building means living under the same roof as Sota. Just thinking about it made them shivered in excitement. All of you, read the rules of this legion. Also, don't forget to register. For those who have an adventurer's ID should help those who don't have one. I will wait this afternoon, so you better make it quick, Sota said before he bid farewell and entered the building. One day later, Sota filled the maximum members for a rank 1 legion. They couldn't accept any more members because they reached their limits. The point system of the legion shocked every adventurer in the whole city. They don't have any idea why Sota created a system where he wouldn't receive any benefits. Jimmy and Francis even questioned his decision, but Sota simply shrugged his shoulders at them. They didn't know that the point system was for Sota's own benefits. No one knows about it except for himself. Sota consulted Bargain about Yanagi after their class. He asked to guard her in the next 5 days because he had a plan and there's a chance that she will shatter his plan. Bargain agreed to him and said that he will let her free after 5 days, so he should prepare himself to face Yanagi at that time. After that, Sota begins his domination plan in the institute. He began to challenge the second-year students. After a few weeks of silence, he finally bears his fangs on the higher year. All the teachers and some of the students expected it. Well, Sota didn't have someone who could match him in his year level, so they thought that he would move up to challenge higher year students, but he stopped. He stayed low profile for a few weeks, but now he finally showed himself to the public. Today, a lot of students and teachers gathered in the stadium. They gathered here to watch the infamous Sota. Sota was a notorious first-year student. He was infamous for his brutal way of fighting, as he maimed most of his opponents. They know that he was an experienced fighter who wouldn't hesitate to decapitate his enemies. Normal students who didn't experience life and death battles would hesitate if they were going to maim people or not. It's hard to get past the willingness to brutalize without batting an eye. Most of the teachers knew this fact. Well, he's a legendary person in the institute because of his deeds in the Ibish village. The one who helped Alex and the Core Guardians in fighting the 7 Deadly Sins officers was him. On the center of the stage, Sota was standing there while he held the neck of a second-year student. The second-year student was the top 82 ranker in the whole second year. TSK. He clicked his tongue as he threw the girl outside the stage. He then patted his clothes and looked at the referee. The referee gulped and announced the winner of the battle. The winner of this ranking battle is Sota Ayeshi. The crowd was silent. They were speechless as they saw the rising of the first-year student called Sota Ayeshi. In just one day, Sota defeated dozens of second-year students. He was the most dominant student in the first-year batch. Some of the second-year students were afraid when they thought that Sota was going to challenge them next. Of course, no one wanted to fight a brutal fighter like him. Sota looked down at the device on his wrist and checked the points that he received from defeating second-year rankers. He was going to use these points for Teacher Bargain. Bargain couldn't keep Yanagi all the time, that's why he planning to use points to Teacher Bargain. Just a little bit more time and he will create a place for her to rampage. The noble's territory was a good place. The plan was perfect. Sota left the stage while thinking about his vicious plan that will make the nobles trembled in fear. That first year is really good. He's going to dominate the second-year batch in no time. A man with pair of rabbit ears and tail said while watching Sota walked away. He has messy red hair and his build was average, but everyone could see the scars on his arms. His name is Zach Triton, the top 6 ranker in the whole Ladro Institute. It means that he was the 6th strongest student in the entire institute. The grand tournament is close. Maybe he's after the seat in the tournament. A girl with long black hair which was tied in a ponytail said from the side. She had pointed ears and chestnut-colored pupils. Her eyes were sharp and she had white skins. Her loose uniform couldn't completely hide her curves. She was Lacey at 6 and the top 5 ranker in the whole Ladro Institute. Grand tournament? I think there's no point if we join the tournament or not. Yanagi Shina is enough to conquer the tournament, Zack said with a deep sigh. With Yanagi in the tournament, he didn't have a chance to become the champion. That's why you couldn't increase your rank. You give up too easily. Also, isn't this a great chance to test our skills to each other? Lacey had said to Zack. That's why you are trash. Trash should just go and rot in hell. You will lose your position in no time. A man with shoulder-length black hair commented from the side. He has pitch black eyes and pale skin. He's Rain Venegram, the top 2 ranker in the whole institute. He was also called Sheena's rival, but never once did he won against her. Zack and Lacey had turned their heads and saw that it was Rain. You're here too, Rain. Are you interested in him? Zack ignored Rain's words and asked him. Yeah, he's better than you, trash. He would surpass trash like you if had more time before the tournament. Rain answered his question. As foul-mouthed as always, Lacey had said with a sigh. Although he was foul-mouthed, they couldn't deny his powers. He was the man who was just below Yanagi in the top ranking. There's no doubt that he was strong. He always proved it when he fought someone. Hey, I wonder about that. Even if I'm like this, I'm still the top 6 ranker. Zack smiled. Top 6 is trash. You're content at top 6. Damn. You're a hopeless person, Rain said in a loud voice. It's too early for him to compete against us. He's not Yanagi who could do the impossible. Zack said to him in a calm tone. Ha ha ha, you're underestimating him. That's laughable. Underestimating someone showed how arrogant you are as a person. I'm warning you that if he joins the tournament he will destroy trash like you. Rain laughed as he turned around. He then glanced at Zack and said, you shouldn't underestimate anyone number 6. I'm telling you this as the top 2, the person who is 4 ranks higher than you. Zack squinted his eyes as he looked at Rain's back. Ignore him, Lacey had said. Soda went back to the HQ of the Dark Oculus. He noticed that his skill points rose. It seems that the newly recruited members of the Dark Oculus began to complete the daily quest of the Legion. He turned his head as Lumilia entered the room with a pile of paper in her hands. She placed it in front of him and said, I called everyone. Good. Soda nodded as he looked outside the window. After a while, everyone arrived. The original members of the Dark Oculus were inside the meeting room. The one who started the meeting was Lumilia. A lot of people are eyeing our Legion. It's within our expectations. After all, we posted the mana fruits that we have in the public eyes. Mana fruits are valuable resources and everyone wants to get a hold of it. Eugen said. We should tighten our guard in the treasury as we gather the eyes of those criminal organizations, Alice said while looking at Soda. Soda simply took a sip of his coffee. He didn't say anything as he enjoyed the taste of this delicious coffee that Lumilia brew. Everyone looked at him as they waited for him to say something. After a few moments, Soda placed down the cup in his hands. He slowly opened his mouth and said, those 20 mana fruits that I placed in the treasury are bait. Criminal organizations and nobles will come after us and it will bring us countless quests and, in the end, we're going to bring all of them down. As you know, Yanagi Shina joined the Legion. We will prepare a suitable battlefield for her. I will use her overwhelming strength to help us defeat the incoming enemies. Soda said to them. Yanagi Shina. What a troublesome person. She's strong, but how should we handle her? Eugen sighed when he thought how unbridled that girl. You can leave her to me. I'm currently thinking about how could I handle her. After all, we couldn't always rely on Teacher Bargain to handle a member of our Legion. Soda said as he tapped his finger on the table. Just by thinking about our plans, I felt that we would create chaos in this city, Brando said. You just felt it. The moment Soda decided to publicize the 20 mana fruits, it's been determined that chaos would chase our Legion, Alice said as she looked at Brando. Isn't that bad? Lynn said with a worried expression. Yes, it's bad, but it will bring us a lot of opportunities, Soda said. The 20 mana fruits that I publicize are rare among the other mana fruits. I received information from Jimmy that some of the criminal organizations are already moving in the dark. They are planning to invade this place and take the 20 mana fruits. Oh? Then, we will fight them, right? I wonder if they are strong, Brian said with an excited expression when he heard that someone would invade this building. Of course, they are strong. That's why we should tighten our guard in the next few days. But I doubt that they will attack us immediately. At least they will thoroughly prepare themselves if they are going to attack us, Soda said as he glanced at Lumilia. Lumilia nodded and added, I already spread the rumors about Yanagi Shina joining our Legion. This piece of news will lessen the chances of the attack in the next few days. I see. So that's your plan. Eugen nodded in understanding. He then glanced at Soda and asked, when we are going to attack the nobles. That's your goal, right? Something bad will going to happen in this city and every faction sensed those movements in the dark. The 20 mana fruits were the highest grade mana fruits that Soda had, so countless forces in the dark were eyeing the fruits. Ursus, Lumilia's father, faced the pressures of the other nobles when he got the honey. It reached the point that he had to marry off her daughter to some nobles to have an ally. But the fruits that Soda have in his Legion were much valuable than that honey. They could easily predict what will happen to the Dark Oculus Legion. They will become the prey of the hidden predators in this kingdom. Prey? Me? A prey? That's ridiculous. Soda laughed inwardly. Oof, the other forces would be surprised if they knew that you wanted them to attack your legion. I can't wait to see their despair as you show them who's the real predator. Saya chuckled. Soda was quite excited as he knew that it will bring him a lot of high-level quests. What they don't know was that the real predator was coming to the Hebrei kingdom. 4 days had passed quickly in the blink of an eye. In these days, Soda and the rest trained in Saya's inner consciousness. They learned new spells and skills, making them grow stronger. Also, their proficiency in their skills increased by a whole level to the system terms. In the institute, Soda raised his points and defeated the top rankers of the second year. The only things that were left untouched were the top 10 and above rankers of the second year. Absolute dominance occurred every time Soda stepped inside the stage. At this moment, no one thought that there's a second-year student that could fight Soda on equal ground. 3 days ago, Brian, Eugen, Alice, and Brando showed their fangs on the higher year. They began to challenge the second year just like Soda. This shocked everyone. The power of those 4 people exceeded everyone's expectations. The entire second-year students grew restless because of the constant challenge from the first-year students. Just like that, Soda's group stunned everyone in the institute. Their fame spread throughout the entire institute and everyone knew their names. Moved to the preparation of the plan. The plan was complete and they were preparing to execute it. Soda, Lynn, and Brian arrived at the birthday party of the Duke's daughter. This is good, Soda said as he looked at the glass of wine in his hand. You shouldn't drink, Soda, Lynn said to him. Don't worry, with our strength this wine wouldn't be able to damage my liver even if I drink alcohol every day for 50 years, Soda assured Lynn. That's not it, Lynn said as she lowered her head and looked on the floor. I'm bored, Brian suddenly said from the side. The 3 of them were wearing formal clothes. They were currently inside the guest room of the Venreda family. This is part of our plan. You would be able to fight soon, so don't worry, Soda said to Brian. Really? Yes, I can't wait for it, Brian said with a wide smile on his face. Ha, you're too simple, Soda laughed. Then, the door opened and a girl wearing an exquisite dress entered the room. She had long yellow hair that was tied in a bun behind her head. Her ears resembled that of a boar's, partnered with her brown-colored pupils in contrast to the color of her hair. This girl was the daughter of the Venreda family, Sylvia Venreda. Behind her was a beautiful girl at the same age. The girl was wearing blue dress, the opposite of her red color hair which Dr.A.P.ed down to her shoulder and back. Her sapphire-colored pupils focused on Brian, Soda, and Lynn who were inside the room. She was Layla Suvbliven, a daughter of a duke just like Sylvia. I'm glad that you came here. How are you, Sir Brian? Sylvia asked Brian in a gentle tone. I'm bored, Brian replied to her. This idiot, how can he reply like that to her? Veins pop up in Soda's forehead when he heard Brian's reply. He then glanced at Sylvia's expression. Luckily, it seems that the girl is not bothered by his reply. It seems that she's interested in Brian. Ho, I could use this to my advantage. Then, if you're bored you can leave this place right away, Layla said with a frown on her face. Layla, you can't say those things to our savior, Sylvia said to Layla. She then turned to Brian and said, I'm sorry for Layla's rudeness. She's just mad because her fiancé is liking another woman. Don't bring that man in our conversation, Layla said in a loud voice. It's okay. I'm hungry. Brian waved his hands and felt his stomach growled. Don't worry, there's a lot of food at my party. You can eat anything that you want there, Sylvia said in a gentle tone. Really? I'm looking forward to it. Brian smiled. Oh? I forgot to introduce myself to your friends, Sylvia said as she turned to Soda and Lynn. I'm Sylvia Venreda of the Venreda household, Sylvia said in a polite tone as she lifted up the side of her dress to show her etiquette. And this is my friend, Layla Suvbliven of the Suvbliven household. Soda stood up and he slightly bowed. Greetings to you Lady Sylvia and Lady Layla. I'm Soda Ayeshi, a student of the Ladro Institute, also the commander of the Dark Oculus Legion. I'm Lynn Yelly, a student of the Ladro Institute and a member of Dark Oculus Legion. Lynn copied Soda's manner with a stiff move. She was FL.U.S. turd as she wasn't used to greeting someone like this. Humph. Layla harumphed as she turned her head. Nice to meet you, Sylvia said with a beautiful smile. No, it's our pleasure to meet you. Soda shook his head and said in a polite tone. He lifted his head and looked at them with a faint smile on his face. Then, let me guide the 3 of you to the hall, Sylvia said to them. Sure, Brian simply nodded his head. It's our pleasure, Lady Sylvia, Soda replied to her. Sylvia guided them to the huge hall. The ceiling was high and exquisite chandeliers were hanging on it. People wearing formal clothes were already present. Soda could easily recognize that they were nobles with just a glance. The elegance and etiquette that they showed weren't something that commoners have. The people inside the hall turned their heads and looked at Soda's group. The main character of this party was escorting 3 unknown people, so it piqued the attention of every noble in this place. "We're here," Sylvia said to them. "Thanks for escorting us, Lady Sylvia," Soda said to her in a polite tone. Lynn also thanked her. "Oh, this place is huge," Brian exclaimed as he looked around. The members of the Dark Oculus Legion were shocked when the vice commander gathered them. The members already formed their own party in the Legion to help each other in completing the required test for their ranks. They got close to each other easily as they cleared every quest that they took. Everyone was wondering why the vice commander gathered them in the hall. They were murmuring to each other until Lumilia and the rest arrived. Lumilia walked forward with Alice, Eugen, and Brando behind her. She then faced the group of adventurers in front of her and said, "Silence." Everyone stopped talking as they felt the power within the vice commander's voice. "I'll tell one thing. We will have a war against the noble families," Lumilia said with a serious expression. Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard her words. They just joined this legion and a legion war was going to erupt quickly. It's not even a month had passed and things quickly escalated to legion war. What the hell is happening? Also, we're fighting nobles. Isn't that a bad idea? Everyone murmured and the entire hall grew were filled with their voices. Noisy. You should have known this from the start. We publicized the mana fruit, so do you think those greedy nobles wouldn't do anything to us? Lumilia poured her mana in her throat so that everyone could hear her voice. For those who will not participate will be expelled in the Legion, and for those who will participate in the Legion war will receive potion depends on your contribution in the war. We will participate, Jean and the rest of the members of the fan club said at the same time using strong tone. This was their time to shine. They were going to show Soda that they were useful. The fan club divided itself into 3 groups consisted of 5 to 6 people. They help each other in completing their comrades' quest and it's quite easy for them. Their power level was at the level of D rank and C rank, while their leader, Jean Livenist, was a full-fledged rank in terms of firepower. Also, we will stop the required quest for 2 weeks. In these 2 weeks, you forget about the required quest and focus on the Legion War. If the Legion War got concluded in 1 week, then all of you will have a free 1 week, Lumilia added as she looked at the ceiling. She didn't have to worry about this building. This building was made of metals that were needed to forge purple grade armor or weapons. Of course, those metals were just the basic materials for a purple grade. It's easy to find these metals, and Soda found a mine of these metals the other day. Still, to perfect the purple grade they still to find materials like wyvern teeth or claw, frenzied troll spinal, etc. Those items were the main materials for creating a purple grade. If they used lower grade items, then they would only be able to create a high quality blue grade weapon even with the usage of those metals. We will join, too. Yeah, we will not lose anything. If the Legion got destroyed, then we can just go back to being an ordinary adventurer. One by one the adventurers agreed to join the Legion war. Good. Prepare yourself. Lumilia nodded as she furrowed her brows. According to Soda's words, they have the support of Adventurers Guild in this Legion war. They will be able to prevent outside forces from interfering in the upcoming war. She knew why the Adventurers Guild was helping them. The Guildmaster received the orange grade bow from Soda along with 3 mana fruits. Originally, the profits that they will get from selling the orange grade bow will be divided into 13 parts. Lumilia and the rest of the Dark Oculus agreed to give their parts to Soda. After all, they received 10 mana fruits from him, and those fruits were much more valuable than their small part in orange grade weapon. To fully own the bow, Soda made a deal with the Jagrat and his 5 comrades. He decided to give them valuable mana fruits and they accepted it without hesitation. Why? Because mana fruits were so rare that they wouldn't be able to find it in the market or underground market. Plus, the orange grade bow was divided into 13 parts, so the money they will receive wouldn't be enough to match a single mana fruit that could permanently increase a person's strength. I will stay here and protect this place along with Yuko, Brando said to Lumilia in a low voice. Yes, I'm counting on you. You are the greatest shield of our legion, so I'll leave the role of guarding our home to you. Lumilia nodded and said, you can rest assured that I'll do my best. The nobles quickly guessed that they were commoners when they saw how Brian acted. They wondered why Sylvia invited a bunch of commoners to her birthday party. They are looking at us as if we are trash. Soda thought while observing the movements of the nobles. He couldn't help but grin when he thought about what will happen today. I'll leave them to you, Layla. Sylvia turned to her friend and said, huh? Where are you going? Layla asked as she widened her eyes. I'm going to call father, Sylvia replied to her. I see. You can go and call your father. Layla nodded. Sylvia then turned to Brian and bid farewell, saying that she will call her father. Soda went to the corner and called Brian and Lynn. Don't wander around. The party haven't begun, so don't make unnecessary movements. Okay. Brian nodded at him while scratching the back of his head. He wanted to eat some food at this moment, but he had to follow Soda's words. Lynn nodded and she silently stood beside Soda. Humph. At least you know what to do. Layla snorted as she glanced at them. Soda ignored her as he doesn't want to make an enemy out of her family. Also, he knew that she wasn't that bad. If she really didn't care about them, then she will leave this place and let the other nobles mock them. He glanced at the nobles and he heightened his senses. He could hear that they were talking about him. Why did Miss Sylvia invite those commoners? I don't know. Do you want me to trash those commoners? Shh, you will not be able to do that with Miss Layla beside them. Soda crossed his arms in front of his chest and closed his eyes. He doesn't need to worry about these fools. They were weaklings that only knew how to depend on their parents' power. After a few minutes, Sylvia arrived with a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man possessed a fierce aura around him. This man was Sylvia's father, Duke Franz Venreda. Duke Franz opened his mouth and started the party with his speech. While watching the Duke, Soda asked Brian how did he save Sylvia and Layla. There should be powerful bodyguards beside the two girls, so how the heck a C-rank adventurer could help them at that time? Lynn was the one who answered his question. She told him that the two girls run away so they don't have any bodyguards with them. Ha ha, spoiled brats. They still didn't know how cruel the outside world is. Soda lightly laughed. Suddenly, also, I'd like to thank these people for saving my daughter. I, Franz Venreda, thank you from the bottom of my heart for saving my daughter. May I know who you are? He still didn't know who Soda and Lynn. He only knew Brian because her daughter was talking about him all the time. Soda, Lynn, and Brian looked at Franz when they suddenly received the gratitude of a duke. They looked at each other and Soda motioned Brian to introduce himself first. I'm Brian Dagrul, an adventurer and a student at Ladro Institute. Brian introduced himself in simple words while scratching his cheeks. Just a simple introduction for commoners as he didn't know the nobles' etiquette. He couldn't express himself elegantly like the nobles. Everyone wanted to laugh because of his lame introduction, but they held it because the Duke was talking to them. They don't want to displease him. Lynn Yali, a C-rank adventurer and a student of Mage Class 1B of Ladro Institute, Lynn said while she lowering her head. She was shy that everyone was looking at them. Soda sighed when he heard his comrade's introduction. He shook his head and stepped forward. I am Soda Ayeshi, the commander of the Dark Oculus Legion, a full-fledged B-rank adventurer. I'm a first-year student at Ladro Institute and currently, the top 1 ranker of the whole year. Soda paused for a moment before he added, you may not know me, but I'm the one who fought Gregory Vedredo in the Gripine city. His etiquette was perfect like a nobleman. He was different from Brian and Lynn who didn't know nobles' etiquette. Oh? So you're that famed student of Ladro Institute. I didn't think that I would meet you here, Franz said as he squinted his eyes and observed Soda. Haha, I'm just here to accompany my people to the party of Lady Sylvia. Soda laughed lightly. Everyone was surprised after they heard Soda's introduction. They ignored his etiquette. His words drowned anything to the point that they ignored anyone except his words, who didn't know the one who fought Gregory Vedredo and defeated him. This topic spread around the circle of nobles. Everyone talked about the person who defeated a noble head a few weeks ago. It was a hot topic and a lot of arrogant nobles were mad at that person who opposed Gregory. They didn't think that person himself would come to a party full of nobles. Soda Ayeshi was a big name among the younger generation. Some of the people were comparing him to Yanagi Shina, saying that he would become as powerful as her. What they didn't know that Yanagi was strong even without proper equipment, while Soda has dark grade sword and a universal grade artifact with him. That's the difference between the two. Even Sylvia and Layla were shocked when they heard Soda's introduction. Now that he mentioned it, his name was familiar to them. But it was out of their expectation that Soda was the one who defeated Gregory. Good. I hope the three of you enjoy my daughter's birthday party. Franz smiled as he raised the glass of wine in his hand. Thanks, we'll have fun. A smile formed on Soda's face. With that, the party officially started. Brian was hungry, so Sylvia guided him to a table full of expensive foods and meals. Oh? It's my first time seeing these foods. Is it delicious? Brian exclaimed as he wiped the drool on the corner of his mouth. Yes, please enjoy yourself. Sylvia smiled. Thanks for the food. Brian smiled happily as he began to place the foods that he chooses on his plate. Soda wanted to laugh seeing Brian like that. The nobles were disgusted with the way he ate his food. How about you, Lynn? Do you want to eat? He turned to Lynn, who was beside him, and asked. And no. Lynn shook her head. I'm fine like this. Soda nodded and he stayed beside her watching the nobles talk to each other. No one approached them because of his reputation. A few minutes had passed and the music in the hall changed. The nobles started to dance elegantly. This atmosphere is not to my liking, Soda muttered to himself. He preferred a normal party more than a formal one like this. This kind of party was boring for him. Well, might as well do something. He turned to Lynn and asked, do you want to dance, Lynn? Lynn was stunned and her face flushed instantly. She lowered her head and said, but I don't know how to dance. Don't worry, I also don't know how to dance. Since we're here, might as well try it. Soda said as he smiled. Oh, okay. Lynn nodded as she slowly lifted her hand. Good. Soda nodded and grabbed her hand. Just follow my lead. I thinking dancing is easier than practicing combat arts. Lynn didn't know what to say. She just followed Soda as she felt her heart thumping wildly. Soda and Lynn danced while holding each other. Lynn was simply following Soda's instructions while Soda was copying the movements of the nobles around him. Movements like this weren't complicated for him. He could easily learn it just by watching the nobles around him. How about it? Are you nervous? Soda asked Lynn with a smile. Yes. Lynn slightly nodded her head. She didn't dare to look at his eyes. This was the first time she got this close to Soda. She was happy and anxious at the same time. Forget anyone. Take a deep breath and look into my eyes. Perceive the movement of my feet. Soda calmly said to her. Lynn followed his instruction as she took a deep breath to calm her nerves. She then lifted her face and looked straight into his eyes. Suddenly, a commotion occurred. Soda and Lynn stopped as they turned their heads. Why are you doing this to me? Layla shouted with an angry expression. Why? There's no reason, I'm just doing what I wanted to do. A handsome man said to Layla in a cold tone. You are engaged to me, so don't bring any woman in this party of nobles. Also, you're tarnishing your family name and my family name by doing this kind of this. Lilia shouted with a mad look. She was furious at her fiancé who brought a commoner girl to a party even though he had her as his fiancé. Oh? I didn't see that I would see a drama at this party. It's out of my expectations. Soda exclaimed while watching the two argued. Layla's fiancé was a son of a duke. They had a name to preserve, but this man brought a commoner woman to Sylvia's birthday party. The other nobles were simply watching them, an interest in their eyes. Soda looked at the time and smirked. The time has come and he was sure that the preparation was complete. He guessed that it's time to create a ruckus. He strode beside Layla and asked, Oh? What's happening here? Shut up. It's not your business, Layla shouted at Soda. I see. So that's why you're angry at commoners. Your fiancé has another woman and it's a commoner. Ha ha ha. Ridiculous. Soda laughed at her. He then looked at her seriously and said, You shouldn't blame all commoners if you're angry at one commoner. What should I do? You. Layla glared at Soda and veins pop up on her forehead. You know who am I, right? I'm an adventurer. You can hire me if you want. Soda raised his finger and said to her, Tap. 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 A group of nobles stepped out and said to Soda, The business of nobles is beyond your capabilities, commoner. You should have stayed at your pitiful house. Ha ha, I see that you finally stepped forward. I thought that you're a coward because you haven't come to me even though I'm waiting for you, Soda said with a wide smile on his face. This group of nobles was the one who was scheming at him. The one who publicized his name as the one who held the 7 deadly sins officers. He received information from Jimmy that these nobles were also invited to Sylvia's birthday party. That's why he insisted on attending this party, because he wanted to meet these people personally before he crashed them. You dare to call us cowards, you bastard. The nobles shouted angrily at him. Easily swayed by emotion. Too weak. Soda thought while looking at these nobles with cold eyes. The center of attention shifted to Soda and the opposite nobles. It was an unexpected development for the other people in this party. Yeah, you greedy cowards wanted to take the mana fruits in my legion, right? Do you want it? Then, fight me, declare a legion war against me, Soda Ayeshi. Soda taunted the nobles in front of him. I'm the heir of the Bull Inn and you dare to mock me. A man said to Soda. His voice was full of rage. Do you have an authority to declare war against me? If not, then shut your mouth. Soda continued to taunt these nobles. Fine, then I, Jagron Bullin, declared a legion war against this vile man in front of me, Jagron said to Soda. His retainers were trying to stop him, but Jagron didn't listen to them. Then, another noble stepped up and asked, What's your stake in this war? This man was Soda's enemy too. Me? I'll give you everything inside the treasury of my legion, including those 20 mana fruits if you win against me, Soda replied to that man. This man was much more calmer than Jagron. Then, I will also declare a war against the Dark Oculus Legion, the man said with a serious expression. Everyone here is a witness, so you have to keep the agreement. Soda Ayeshi will accept all of your war challenges against my Dark Oculus Legion. If I win, I will take everything from you. Everything that you have will be mine, Soda declared to everyone in this place. All the people in this place heard their agreement. They were looking forward to watching the war between their forces. Some of the people were already talking about how Soda will lose this war. Of course, from their point of view, Soda was a foolish person who accepted the war challenges of different noble families. Isn't that insane? They could understand it if Soda only accepted one challenge at a time, but out of their expectations, he accepted everything. Even the Duke couldn't believe what he heard. He was simply watching them with his eyes. He wanted to know why a lot of people praised this young man so much. He looked down at the transmission talisman on his hand and said, Do you hear that? Your sons declared a war against that infamous Soda. Suddenly, they heard Soda laughed. Everyone paused as they wondered why he was laughing like that. Ha ha ha. Soda opened his arms widely and threw a transmission talisman in the midair. You hear that, my cute subordinates? They declared a war against us, so we better fight back. So I, the commander of the Dark Oculus Legion, gives his permission to destroy our enemies. Everyone opened their eyes widely when they heard his words. The meaning of his words. Eugen was holding swords in both of his hands. He was standing alone in the middle of the ruined building. Smoke and flames were coming out of the debris of rocks and woods. Too easy, he muttered as he looked in the sky. He then heard someone called him from behind. Deputy Eugen, we finished our job here. Eugen nodded and said, let's go back now. Gather everyone and retreat. Eugen, Brian, Lynn, Brando, and Alice were all deputies of the Dark Oculus Legion. Their ranks were below Lumilia, who was the vice commander of the Legion. All the members of the Legion had to follow the orders of higher ranking officers. The timing is right, we've crippled most of our enemies. In just 2 or 3 days we could win this fight, he muttered before he left with his subordinates. The Dark Oculus Legion divided themselves and launched an attack on the nobles that declared war on Soda. Actually, they were already waiting at their enemy's headquarters. They just waited for Soda's signal to attack, and the moment that Soda accepted all the war challenges, they quickly launched an attack on several bases of the nobles. Eugen's group, Alice's group, and the fan club simultaneously stormed the enemy's HQ according to Lumilia's instruction. It was so sudden that the enemy didn't have a time to defend themselves. They could only watch as the group destroyed their building. Lumilia was watching everything from the sideline. She was listening to the reports of her subordinates. Vice Commander, Deputy Eugen and the fan club retreated. What about Alice? Lumilia asked. Deputy Alice is facing the enemy's B rank, her subordinates said with a gloomy look. I see. Send one party to help Alice. No, tell Eugen and his group to help Alice eliminate the enemy's B rank, Lumilia instructed her subordinates. She then turned her head to the horizon with a concerned look. Currently, the double-edged sword of the Dark Oculus Legion was rampaging in that direction. Oofufu, it's been a while since I've managed to release my power. A heterochromia girl laughed while looking down at the group of adventurers. She was floating in the midair above the building. Her powerful aura was leaking out of her body. Boom. The group of adventurers on the ground gritted their teeth. The power of this girl was beyond their imagination. She was too strong for them. Let me enjoy this moment of destruction, Yanagi said with a faint smile on her face. She shoots a powerful beam towards the huge building below her. The beam flew towards the building at high speed and the adventurers quickly jumped away to avoid getting caught in the explosion. Boom. The ground trembled as a giant mushroom of smoke rose in the sky. Everyone in the vicinity of the city felt the shockwaves of the explosion. Clang. Clang, clang. 2 figures collided repeatedly, causing a gust of winds in the surrounding area. Sparks flew every time their weapon collided. Clang. Clang. After colliding several times, the 2 figures took a distance from each other. Huff. Huff. Alice was breathing heavily as she tightened her grip on her spear. Her opponent this time was a strong B rank adventurer. But she was different now. She was several times stronger than she was in the past weeks. It's time to get serious, Alice said as she gathered her mana on the tip of her spear. At the same time, the atmosphere around her changed. Her opponent could feel the changes in Alice. Sonic thrust. Her opponent opened his eyes widely as Alice instantly appeared in front of him. Swoosh. Alice was so fast that an ordinary B rank couldn't follow her speed when she used this combat art. In just a second, she created a hole in the body of a B rank adventurer. This combat arts was a powerful combat arts from her homeland. She was trying to learn it a long time ago, but she only succeeded a few days ago in Saya's inner consciousness. It increases her attack power by 10-fold and her speed by 12-fold. The only downside was that she couldn't change the trajectory of her attack. I'm as strong as a veteran soldier in my homeland, Alice muttered as she smiled. The spear in her hands turned into a small pole before she placed it in her pocket. This was the compression ability of her spear. Deputy Alice, we received a message from Vice Commander. Continue, Alice said as she turned to her subordinate. The message said that Deputy Eugen was heading in our direction 10 minutes ago. Meet up with him and continue the plan. In the Venrata's mansion, everyone was looking at Soda with a surprised look. They understood the meaning of his words. To think that his forces were ready to attack. He planned everything. He expected that Jagron and the others would challenge him in this party, so he set up his army in advance, and when the war started they quickly launched an attack. Soda was terrifying. He was taunting everyone and used his mana fruits as bait so that they would challenge him. He already calculated what will happen to this party and their reaction to his mana fruits. The rumors about Yanagi joining the group in this party prevented the nobles from acting. They prepared themselves for the party. At the same time, they hesitated when they heard Yanagi's name. They couldn't easily attack without preparation if Yanagi really joined the Dark Oculus Legion. So, Sota set up everything in advance so that the war would start today and he will have a great advantage. About the innocent citizens? There's no need to worry about them. The Guildmaster was the one who will handle it, and Sota was prepared to pay for everything that they demolished. Of course, the property of his enemies was excluded in this. It's not my fault, you know? You're the one who challenges me to a Legion war. Also, you should blame yourself and your family. You picked a fight with me and underestimate me. Sota's expression turned serious as he looked at the mad nobles in front of him with chilly eyes. You should face the consequences. Tell your subordinates to tighten their guards in the next few days. I will personally launch an attack. Jagron and the other nobles' complexion were pale. After hearing Sota words, they realized that Sota set them up. They could imagine what was happening to the Legion under their family. If Sota won the Legion war, then he will take everything they have, including their mansion and money. His parents would get angry at him and will punish him. The worst case scenario was that he will lose his position as heir of their family. They looked around and saw that the other nobles were watching Sota humiliated them. They gritted their teeth in anger and their mana spiked up. Swoosh. The audience took a step back as they saw that Jagron and the rest would resort to violence. I'll defeat you right here and take back my honor, eh? Sota tilted his head. From their words, it felt that Sota was the villain here when he was supposed to be the victim. He then raised his finger and warned the nobles. You should know that this place is the mansion of the Duke, and yet you're flaunting your weak mana like that. That's a sign of disrespect towards the Duke. Jagron and the others paused. They quickly hid their mana inside their body. They almost lose themselves in front of the Duke. But if you really want to fight me, you can ask Lord Franz to give his permission. Sota smiled as he spoke to Jagron and the rest. Let me warn you, I'm strong, and from my estimation, you wouldn't last a minute against me. TSK. You'll pay for this. Jagron clicked his tongue before he turned around and left. The other nobles followed him. Sota looked at their back with a cold tone. If he wasn't inside the Duke's mansion, he would have already sliced the head of those brats. Let's go, Lynn. He looked at Lynn and said. They went to the side and he picked a glass of wine. Brian and Sylvia approached them. Layla also walked towards them. She managed to calm down, thanks to Sota's show. I thought that a fight would break out. Brian looked disappointed as he said those words. It seems that he wanted those people to attack so that he would be able to fight back. They will not do that. They are afraid of Lady Sylvia's family, Sota said as he glanced at Sylvia. Is this the reason why you come to this party? Layla asked Sota in a loud voice. I will leave it to your imagination. You see, I'm quite happy that everything went according to my plan. Sota smiled as he raised the glass of wine in his hand before he drank it. The atmosphere at the party changed even though the commotion was gone. The reason why this turned out like this was Sota. His presence became a huge boulder to the hearts of the nobles in this place. He was not afraid to fight any nobles that tried to harm him. He will even fight back brutally and scheme devilishly. From time to time, the nobles would glance in Sota's direction. They were wary at him. Their guards against him were the highest. Only Sylvia and Layla were the nobles around Sota's group. I'm sorry, Lady Sylvia, for doing this to your party. Sota apologized to Sylvia. Her impression of him would become low if he didn't apologize after making a scene like that. No, it's okay. I don't care about trivial things like that, Sylvia said as she slightly shook her head. Then, I'll go to the balcony to enjoy my drink, Sota said to Brian, Sylvia, and Layla. Since his presence was a bother here, he will go outside so that they could enjoy this party. He's doing this for those three people. Brian, Sylvia, and Layla wouldn't be able to enjoy this party if everyone was watching Sota's movements. I'll go too, Lynn said. Okay. Sota smiled at her and he walked towards the direction of the balcony. Lynn followed him without making a noise. Sir Brian, are they in a relationship? Sylvia asked Brian while looking at Sota and Lynn's back. No. Brian shook his head without hesitation. From the looks of it, I think everyone could guess that they are in a relationship, Sylvia said. No. If you see our vice commander you would understand it, Brian replied to her. He picked a piece of meat and placed it inside his mouth. Suddenly, someone asked him, what kind of person is your commander? Father. Lord Franz. Sylvia and Layla were surprised. The Duke was standing behind Brian. Oh? I didn't sense your presence at all. You're a strong one, dude. I want to fight you someday, Brian exclaimed when he found that there was a person behind him. That's the Duke, you know? Layla turned pale when she heard Brian's rude remarks. Sylvia held Brian's head and said, please forgive us, Father. Ha, don't mind it. I just want to know what kind of person your commander? Franz laughed and asked Brian again. Strong. Limitless. Vicious. Smart. Brian said these words one by one as he described Sota. I understand. Then, what do you mean by strong? Franz nodded and asked. Sota is strong. He's the only person who always defeated me. I never saw anyone defeat him. In the Institute, no one could defeat Soda. He defeated everyone in the Institute. Brian replied to him. I want to catch up to him someday. Sylvia and Layla simply listened to his words. What about Limitless? Franz asked as he raised his eyebrows. Soda's strength is improving every day. There's not a time when his strength stopped increasing. I think that Soda is 20 times stronger when I first met him. Brian explained to Franz. If your words are correct, then that Soda is too weak a few months ago before the enrollment in the Institute, Franz said. Then, why do you think that he's a vicious person? You don't want to see Soda's angry. It's terrifying. I don't like this side of him. He will kill anyone who got in his way. When we're doing an escort quest, Soda would always massacre everyone in the bandit's base, Brian said with a serious expression. In the Institute, all the second-year students are afraid of him. He will brutally beat anyone knowing that the Institute will heal them. I see. For people who don't experience life and death battle would have a hard time to get past the willingness to maim people with hesitation. Franz then thanked Brian. Thank you, I understand a little bit of his personality based on your words. Franz turned around and left under the gazes of the three people. So he's different than Yanagi. He's much more dangerous. He thought. From his information, Yanagi was a carefree person. She will do what she wanted. If she wanted to beat a person, then she will beat a person. But Soda was different. He had ambition, and Franz could see it just by Soda establishing a legion, which Yanagi didn't do. Soda was a schemer, which makes him more dangerous than Yanagi. How is it? Soda asked while holding the transmission talisman. We managed to destroy 4 legions of the nobles. Alice, Eugen, and Jean defeated the enemy's B rank. I think that they wouldn't be able to join the battle anymore. Lumilia's voice sounded through that talisman. I see. Then, what about Yanagi? I'm worried about her action. Soda asked. He still couldn't control Yanagi. He didn't even know if she would follow his instruction. For now, she's fine. She's fighting the B-rank party from the Count's family. Lumilia replied to him. Then, it's good. The Count's family is the strongest force among the 7 noble families, so it will greatly decrease our burden if she defeated those people. Soda said to him as his brows knitted together. Without Yanagi Shina, the Dark Oculus Legion wouldn't stand a chance in a head-on battle against the Count's subordinates. A party of B-rank adventurers who had a record of subduing 12 third evolution monsters was dangerous for them. If Yanagi would handle them, then he didn't need to worry. Legion War is a war among the adventurers at the stake of something they've agreed on. The Adventurers Guild was the one who handles this war among adventurers. They were also the ones who decided the winner of the war. The winner will be decided by the Legion who destroyed all of the opponent's base. The destruction must be 100%. Or if the other Legion annihilated all the members of the opponent's members. In this case, Soda's opponents were under the wings of the noble families. They were a troublesome Legion that is B rank in each headquarters. Soda bid farewell and he cancelled the connection on his talisman. Do you think we could win? Lin asked him. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But we will face some trouble before we could win. Soda replied to her. Now that he cornered those nobles, it will get tricky this time. There will be a time when he had to fight. He will use everything to destroy those nobles. Lin stayed silent as she started at Soda's face. Soda looked at the system. His level was 35 at this moment. He was getting close to level 40, so he should prepare himself when that happens. He should raid those dungeons and ruins that will help him in the future. He also planned to get the skills that will truly help him in future battles. Name, Soda Ayeshi. Race, Mutated Goblin Corruptor 2nd Evolution. Level, 35. Class, Rank 1 Battle Mage. Health, 2,040/2,040. Stamina, 825/825. Mana, 262 halves, 262. Strength, 796/30 plus 160, plus. Agility, 888/588 plus 300, plus. Dexterity, 835/535 plus 300, plus. Intelligence, 786/20 plus 160, plus. Vitality, 766/50 plus 110, plus. Free attribute points, 179. Skills. Active, Dash, Level 5, Stab, Level 5, Cat Speed, Level 4, Air Walk, Level 3, Triple Muscle Strengthening, Level 4, Pet Bestowing Skill, Level 10, Pet Resonance, Level 2, Transfer Boost, Level 2, Shadow Cloak, Level 3, Shadow Step, Level 3, Crimson Moon, Level 3, Cross Moon, Level 2. Passive, Weapon Mastery, Mana Manipulation, Level 4. Spells. Tier 1, Fireball, Level 1, Ice Shot, Level 1, Light Heal, Level 1, Agility Boost, Level 1, Strength Boost, Level 1, Mud Slide, Level 1, Shadow Bind, Level 10, Shadow Spike, Level 1, Shadow Ball, Level 10. Tier 2, Gravitational Ball, Level 10, Dark Cloud Hunting, Level 3. Class skills, Weapon Caster. Traits, Extraordinary Body, Night Vision. Trait skills, High Energy Resistance Body. Blessings, Blessing of the Great, First Tier Spell Immunity. Equipment skills, Harvester of the Soul, Crimson Moon, Cross Moon, Possession. Skill points, 59. This was his first time looking at his system ever since he met Rashka in the Forest of Eternal Light. The changes surprised him a bit, but he expected it. His skills mostly grew by 1 level because of all the training that he did in Saya's inner consciousness. He had the Blessing of the Great. The effect of this blessing wasn't that great, but Sota planned to stock it. It will become a great help to him if he increases its level by meeting those great Lum who gives this blessing. Then, let me check the quest. Sota checked the quest interface. Legion War. 7 noble families declared a war against your legion. Defeat them and show how powerful your legion is. Rewards? Depends on your contribution in the war. Material gathering. Pick up the blue striped grass on the Dorgun Hill. Rewards. 500 expend 2 free attribute points. Monster subjugation. Defeat 10 slimes in the Ladro Plains. Rewards. 1 skill point, 200 exp, and 2 free attribute points. There were a lot of quests. It's the quest that his legion members took. They couldn't finish it because of the Legion War today. He was looking forward to the day they completed all these quests for him. The party ends and Sota's group left after thanking Sylvia and her father. A lot of people witnessed the agreement between the two parties, so Sota had to win this Legion War no matter what. In the next morning, the Legion War grew intense. A lot of B-rank adventurers emerged from the opponent's team. It brought pressure to the deputies of the Legion. They also tried to launch an attack at the headquarters. Luckily, Lumilia saw their plan and managed to counter them. The Dark Oculus Legion wasn't as strong as the opponent's Legion. Lumilia avoided direct contact with the opponent's main force as she used tactics to eliminate the fodder of the enemy. They were slowly cutting down the forces of the enemy. The Dark Oculus only has 8 people that have the power of the Brank. 2 of these were Jean and a girl named Wako. Wako was also a member of the fan club and Sota's senior in the institute. She was ranked number 78 in the ranking of the 3rd year, while their enemy has more than 20 B-rank adventurers at their disposal. Also, their numbers were 10 times higher than the Dark Oculus Legion, whose rank was 1. They have many disadvantages, but the first attack lessened the burdens of the members in this war. It greatly reduced the forces of the enemy, leaving only a few capable ones. Sota, Lin, and Brian were standing on the city walls watching the battles around the city. The adventurers' staff were all over the city to protect the civilians. Sota took out the transmission talisman and poured his mana inside it. What's the situation, Lumilia? Jean's team is doing good. They are pushing back the enemies. Yanagi too. She's fighting the entire Count's forces alone. The problem is with Eugen and Alice. 6B rank cornered them and they couldn't retreat at this moment. Lumilia said. I see. We're here so you don't need to worry. Tell me the location so that I could send Brian there. Sota said to her. Lumilia gives him the detailed location of the battles. Good. Sota nodded and he turned to Brian. Brian, it's your time to fight. Just go in the east. If you run in that direction for 5 minutes you will see Alice and Eugen. Help them defeat the opponent. Ha, finally. I'm looking forward to it. Brian laughed excitedly as he charged towards the direction that Sota pointed. Sota looked at Brian's figure and smiled. He could leave those Branks to Brian. If he joined forces with Alice and Eugen, then they would be able to take down those 6B ranks. Yanagi was the greatest spear of the Legion. She was handling the most difficult opponents for the Legion. If she wasn't here, then their chances at winning this Legion war was 50%. What concerned him is that she's too obedient. He had a bad feeling about this. He should prepare himself when he met her later. So, what should we do, Lin? Sota smiled as he glanced at Lin, who was staying beside him. A lot of people were interested in the Legion War, so they were watching through the projection of an orb. They were watching and observing if the Dark Oculus Legion truly deserved its reputation. For them, this battle was going to be the turning point of the Dark Oculus Legion. If they won, then their reputation and status would skyrocket instantly in the whole kingdom. And if they lose, then they wouldn't be able to rise. They would lose their credibility and the people who trust them. Some of the teachers of the institute were observing the battle. They were secretly cheering for them to win. Not just them. Some of the big names in the kingdom were also paying attention to this battle. In the future, this battle will be called the start of the legend. Inside a huge mansion in the Gripine city, a man was watching the projection in front of him. The man looks like he was in his 30s. He had long blue hair and blue eyes. What are you watching, father? A voice came from his side. I'm watching the battle of your sister. She'd grown stronger. The man replied without turning his head. So, my little sister can finally stand on her own. The newly arrived man said with a faint smile on his face while glancing at the projection. To think that their small party at that time would grow this much in just a few months, to the point that they possessed 20 mana fruits. Just what did they do in these months? They could even rival the noble families at this moment. The father said before he asked, "How is it?" "I'm finally done. We could fight back this time," the man said. In the Ladro Institute, the principal, Bargain, and other high-level teachers were watching the projection inside the principal's office. "Bargain, your students are at disadvantage. They wouldn't last long," the principal said while he glancing at Bargain. "Yeah, they are too weak to fight several B rank at the same time. They are doing great by holding 6 B ranks. That alone earned my praise," Bargain replied as he focused his eyes on the projection. "I didn't think that the first year this time would be this extraordinary," the principal said. "Let's see how well they handle it." Clang. 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 Eugen and Alice were fighting a party of B-rank adventurers. The coordination of their opponents was great and they could hardly fight back. The only thing they could do was defend with all of their strength. "It's hard," Alice said as she wiped the blood on her mouth. "They are blocking all our escape routes," Eugen said. He tightened his grip on the 2 swords in both of his hands. The party composition of their enemies was incredible. They have a shielder, mage, 2 swordsmen, a rogue, and an archer. TSK. They are too stubborn. Alice clicked her tongue and she charged towards them. Boom. The shielder went in front of her to intercept her attack, but Alice kicked the ground to move sideways. She then thrust her spear at the blind spot of the shielder. Clang. She saw that one of the swordmen blocked her spear. She gathered her mana in her spear and used a combat arts. Dozen piercing strike. She thrust her spear repeatedly at incredibly high speed. Clang. 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 The swordman tried to parry her skill, but it was so fast for him. Some of her strikes landed on his body. Alice was about to pierce the chest of the swordsman when she noticed something. She quickly stopped moving forward and jumped backward. Swoosh. An arrow covered in flames crashed on the ground, causing a small explosion on it. Alice looked up and saw 10 giant ice spikes above her. She then raised her hand and casted a barrier spell to protect herself. Boom. Alice. Eugen glanced at Alice. "Don't look away from your opponent." The swordsman slashed his sword horizontally. Eugen moved his feet and slightly adjusted his position. The spirit on his body was watching his opponent and telling him where's the attack so he could avoid it based on her instruction. "Good job, Alfie." He praised Alfie before he slashed his sword towards his opponents. While exchanging blows with the swordsman, Eugen heard Alfie's voice inside his head. "Jin, behind." He shifted his body and avoided the sword in front of him, but a dagger pierced his right shoulder. Eugen gritted his teeth and kicked the woman who stabbed his shoulder. After that, he took a distance away from the swordsman and rogue woman. But as soon as he was 5 meters safe from the two, dozens of flame arrows rained down in his direction. "This is bad," Eugen said as his hands flashed and blocked all the arrows that were going to hit his vital spot. He knew that he couldn't block all the arrows, so he only deflected those who were going to land on his vital points. Boom. A loud thunderclap echoed in the whole area. "What's that?" Eugen looked up and saw a ball of flames with lightning on it heading towards their direction like a falling meteor. Alfie answered his question. "Alice, we have a reinforcement," Eugen shouted with a smile. This reinforcement was enough to change the tide of this battle. He was actually going to use his spirit power if there's no reinforcement. Luckily, it seems that those people finished their tasks and arrived here. Dodge. The 6B ranks quickly jumped away as the meteor-like figure crashed on the ground, causing a powerful explosion that destroyed several structures around them. Boom. The ground shook heavily as if there was an earthquake. A figure was standing in the middle of the 20-meter diameter crater. The figure has short spiky black hair and pitch-black pupils. He was wearing gray-colored leather armor. His weapon was a pair of purple-grayed gauntlets that raised his physical attack greatly. "I'm here. So, where's my opponent?" Brian said as he looked around. "Oh? Alice, Eugen." Brian saw Alice and Eugen, who have bruises on their bodies. "Don't worry about us. It's hard to fight 6B ranks with only 2 of us." Eugen waved his hand as he stood up and grabbed his sword. "Yeah, they are disrupting our skills, so we couldn't land a direct blow at them." Alice agreed to Eugen's words. It was hard for the 2 of them to fight a whole party without the help of support. Their subordinates were fighting the low rank of the opposite side, so they couldn't rely on their support. Plus, their opponent was B rank. A, D rank and C rank adventurers wouldn't be able to match B rank. The difference in their skills and experience was high. "Okay. Then, I'm going to start." Brian nodded and he turned to the 6B ranks who were looking at him with a wary look. His mana spread out and it covered his entire body, greatly enhancing his overall abilities. "Just go and we'll adjust according to your movements," Eugen said as he knitted his brows and looked at their opponents. "I'll take the mage and the archer," Alice said in a cold tone as she focused her attention on the 2 people behind the group. She slightly bent her knees and held the spear using both of her hands. "Good." Brian grinned widely as he charged towards their opponents. Boom. Flames covered his right fist and lightning crackled around his left fist. Swoosh. "You will not get past me." The shielder quickly moved in front of Brian. He held his shield tightly in front of him. Ha ha ha, it's fine. Just let me enjoy this battle. Brian laughed before he launched a series of powerful punch on the shield of the tank. Bang! 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 What a power! The shielder gritted his teeth as he felt the power of Brian's attack through his shield. He was getting pushed back. Swoosh! Suddenly, a figure flashed at his side. He turned his head to look, but Brian's fist landed on his face. Bang! He crashed on the ground, causing a small fissure on it. Stop her! The two swordsmen shouted and went towards Alice, who was dashing towards the mage at incredibly high speed. The two arrived at her side, but Eugen shoots a long-range sword slash at them. Damn! The two swordsmen cursed as they blocked Eugen's attack. They could only watch Alice advanced forward. The mage turned pale when he saw Alice moving in his direction. He hurried cast barrier spells around him. Sonic thrust. The tip of the spear crashed on the barrier and cracks quickly appeared on the barrier. You're going down, Alice said in a cold tone before she pulled out her spear and thrust it repeatedly. Bang! 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 The rogue dashed towards Alice to help the mage. She knew that her comrades wouldn't be able to handle Alice in a close-range combat. Silent step. The rogue appeared behind Alice and she stabbed her dagger, aiming at Alice's back. But Alice already expected it, so she easily avoided her attack. The dagger hit the barrier and it was the final decisive blow, so the barrier broke into tiny pieces of particles. Bang! Go down, Alice said as she swept her spear. Swoosh! The rogue barely avoided her attack by shifting her body to the side, but Alice wasn't done yet. Her feet landed on the side of the rogue, causing her to fly away and crashed on the ground. Arg! The rogue spat a mouthful of blood. Within this time, the mage tried to create a distance away from Alice. You will not get away. Alice tightened her grip on her spear. She then threw it towards the mage. Ground zero spike. The mage widened his eyes as the spear pierced his stomach. Boom. He was nailed on the ground. Times 10. Grinding flame spear. A loud voice echoed in the whole area as dozens of flaming spears formed in the sky above the battlefield. Boom. The huge flaming spear shot down, causing a powerful explosion that shook the entire city. It was so heavy and chilly. The entire area was filled with a tremendous amount of heavy mana. Smoke and dust were blocking the vision of the people in this place. They could hardly see anything because of it. It placed everyone who was depending on their eyesight at a disadvantage. One down, Alice muttered as she pulled out her spear on the body of the mage. Let's clean this up. Eugen's voice echoed. It seems that he already finished his opponents. Sweet. Soda looked in the direction of the explosion with a smile on his face. Brian is not holding back at all. He was walking leisurely with Lynn at his side. The entire place was like a ghost town as they couldn't see any people in the street. The Adventurers Guild really did a good job at this. After a few minutes of walking, the two arrived in front of a 5-story building. This building was another headquarters of their opponent. 2 people were guarding the gate of the building. From their looks and aura, Soda could guess that they were just a C-rank adventurer. They were nothing. Even Lynn, who was a support, could probably defeat them in a one-on-one battle. Also, the building was protected by a huge barrier around it, just like their building. Soda observed the building as he called Lumilia. Hello, Lumilia. I'm here in front of the base in the northeast with Lynn. We're going to increase our contribution by destroying it. Wait. Lumilia was startled when she heard Soda's words. Is there a problem with it? Soda asked as he looked at the talisman in his hand. No, it's just that there is a group of B-rank party heading in that direction, Lumilia replied to him. Okay, there's no problem with it. Soda nodded as he cut the connection and placed back the talisman inside his pocket. He then turned to Lynn and said, You've heard her, Lynn. Can you sense them using your ability? I'll try. Lynn nodded at him. She closed her eyes and tried to sense everyone around her. The energy of the B rank was higher than ordinary people, so she could easily differentiate if one was a B rank or not. After a few moments, Lynn opened her eyes and shook her head. I see. They are not in your range, so it means that it will take a while before they arrive here, right? Soda asked as a wide grin formed on his face. Alright. They've noticed us, Soda, Lynn said as she saw the 2 guards pointing at them. Do you want to see a nuke? Soda asked her. Nuke? Lynn tilted her head in confusion as she couldn't understand what he meant by nuke. Fine, I'll show it to you, Soda said as he looked at the guards. The number of the people at the gate increases. The 2 guards must have notified the people inside the building. I haven't say anything, Lynn said in a low voice. Suddenly, she turned her head and looked at the 5th floor of the building. Someone strong is on the 5th floor. I see. Thanks for giving this vital information. Soda nodded as he raised his hand. The projection changed to Soda cause it seems that this will become an interesting scene since the leader of the Dark Oculus Legion finally makes his move. For the people who were watching the projection, this will be the most exciting part for them. The leader of the Dark Oculus Legion was quite famous, but only a few people understand his battle style. Some people said that he was a powerful mage, some said that he was a great fighter, while the others said that he was a competent leader who could lead anyone to subjugate a third evolution monster. A group of B rank will arrive in his position, so he better retreat while he had a chance, a man commented while watching the projection. I wonder about that. When he fought Gregory he only had the power of C rank, but now he's clearly a B rank fighter. I want to see him fight someone so that we could have a better understanding of his power. A middle-aged man with blue hair and eyes said. Everyone was watching his movements. They saw him slowly raised his hand and 10 black balls appeared behind him. Then, the crimson tattoo on his shoulder glows brightly. What is he doing? It's hard to guess. We couldn't feel his energy through the projection after all. Soda grinned and said, come down and destroy everything, Yuko. Roa. Yuko appeared in the sky with a deafening roar that shook the entire sky. Pet resonance. He activated his skills and transferred a large amount of his mana to Yuko, who was falling down towards the 5-story building in front of him. The mana concentrated around Yuko was like a powerful barrier. It was so dense that everyone could see the crimson color mana around her. Brace for impact, Lin. The 10 black balls rotated in the sky and it increased the gravity by several times, so Yuko gained a speed greater than he could imagine. Swoosh. Ha ha ha, this is great. Soda laughed. Yuko flashed towards the 5-story building like a rocket. Then, boom. Hello, what's wrong, Lumalia? Soda took out the transmission talisman as he felt that Lumalia was trying to call him. Soda, what's your chance if you're going to fight those B ranks? Lumalia asked him. 50, no, 40%, Soda replied to her while looking at the thick smoke and flames in front of him. The 5-story building was gone. It became a ruin in just a few seconds. The explosion was so powerful that it instantly shattered the barrier around the building. It was simply devastating. Even the B rank inside the building couldn't predict that the power of this explosion was so high, as expected of Nuke Yuko. Then, you have to leave that place and rendezvous with Jean and her group, Lumalia said. Why? Soda asked her as a strong wind blew and it cleared the smoke and dust in the surrounding area. He could see the adventurers lying on the ground full of blood. I'm the strategist, so you should follow my instruction. If you're not 50% sure if you could defeat those B ranks, then it's better that you pull back. I'm not going to send you to fight a battle where's your chances of losing are high, Lumalia said in a loud voice. I'm saying if I'm fighting alone. You see, Lin is here and also my partner Yuko just arrived here and brought terror. What an amazing scene, Soda said to her as he glanced at Lin, then at the direction of the building. A figure of a bear was slowly standing in the middle of the ruined building. Its eyes flashed before it looked in the sky and roared powerfully. Roar. The roar shook the entire area and it swept the flames and dust like a gust of wind. The mana of the bear spread out before it shrunk back, coating Yuko's body. I've got to say that our chances in winning this battle are higher than you imagine, Soda said in a low voice as he squinted his eyes while staring at Yuko's figure. The structures behind him trembled strongly and crack formed in the glasses inside any structures. Some of the glasses were shattered because of Yuko's powerful roar. Fine. I'll leave it to you. Report to me once you're done, Lumalia sighed. Thanks, Soda said before he cut the connection. He placed the talisman inside his pocket and said, Lin, heightened your senses. We're going to finish this one before the others arrived. Oh ooh. Lin nodded at him before she took a deep breath. She was going to do her best to support Soda and Yuko. Grrr. Yuko felt her body was numbing. The impact of that fall was so hard for her. She was lucky that she had a tough body, so she endured that powerful impact. She noticed some movements in the rubble in front of her. A figure of a woman with bob-cut brown hair rose from the fragments of rocks. Cough. The woman coughed heavily as blood flowed out of her mouth. She then noticed something. She moved her eyes and saw a huge bear standing in front of her. What? The woman quickly took a distance away from the bear while aiming her palm at it. Water bullet. Several small concentrations of water shot through the air. The bullets landed on Yuko's body, creating a loud sound, but it didn't do much damage to her. Her natural defense simply deflected most of the bullets. A tier 1 spell isn't that strong for Yuko's current defense. This is bad. I need to get away from this. I couldn't fight because of my injuries. The woman thought while holding the wounds on the side of her stomach. She would be able to give Yuko a trouble if she wasn't injured. Yuko looked at her with her gleaming eye. She then took a step forward. Agile burst. Swift feet. I need to leave this place as soon as possible. The woman quickly casted spells that could increase her speed when she saw the bear stepped forward. She then, thud. She bumped into a person and she fell down on her butt. Ouch. She looked ahead and saw a man with dark green skin. He had short black hair and his pair of golden-colored pupils were glowing. The man was holding a sword with a crimson blade while looking at her with a wide grin. The woman's complexion changed when she saw the man. Behind her was a powerful bear and in front of her was a man. Judging from his aura, he wasn't weak. She realized who's the man in front of her. There's one man who's known for being a tamer and powerful combatant at the same time. Most of the adventurers in the Ladro city know that Sota was a tamer and his pet was a red fur bear. He was none other than Sota Ayeshi, the commander of the Dark Oculus Legion. You can struggle all you want, but I think it's futile, Sota said before he slashed his swords towards the woman. Blood spurted out. The group of B ranks arrived at the scene and what they saw was a total annihilation. Their comrades were lying on the pool of blood. Everything was ruined. Raimi, a B rank swordsman, hurriedly went in front of a woman. This woman was the one who was assigned to guard their base. Raimi. The swordsman looked at the woman named Raimi with a worried expression. He turned his head and looked at his comrades. A woman with a priestess's clothes stepped forward. She was the healer of their party. Let me heal her, she said in a serious tone. I'll leave her to you, the swordsman said, and the healer went beside them. The shielder of the group looked at them and said, we're all in a bad situation. Yeah, the forces of our enemy are already in the city. Everyone didn't expect that a legion war would occur and the enemy is already waiting for it. The mage of the group nodded at the words of Shielder. This city became the battlefield. It never occurred to us that a legion war could be this bad, the Shielder said while looking around. Most of the time in the legion war, each participant would try to feel the movements of their enemies first. They would send some people to the base of their enemies, but what's happening right now was different. The only thing they could do was gather their forces and defend against the possible attack of the enemies. They didn't even have a time to investigate or gather information about their enemies. Raimi slowly opened her eyes. She looked around and saw her comrades around her. Everyone, you're here. Don't worry, we'll protect you, the swordsman said to her with a gentle expression. I'll heal the others too, the healer said to them. The C-rank members of their legion were still alive. She could save them if she healed them at this moment. Here. The mage took out a mana potion and gave it to the healer. He knew that healing all these people would consume a large amount of her mana. After half an hour, everyone woke up because the healer gave them first aid. They gave them healing potions so that they could walk alone without the help of others. The enemies must be gone after they attack the base, the shielder said to them. I will fight them, the swordsman said with rage in his eyes. He couldn't forgive those people who hurt his precious comrades. Suddenly, they stopped talking and looked at the ground. The floor turned black in an instant before several black tentacles rose. Shadow bind. Enemy attack. The shielder shouted as he tightly gripped the shield on his hand. Damn. You will pay for it. The swordsman roared angrily before he pulled out his sword and began to attack the black tentacles. We need to get out of here. The mage shouted at his comrades. Why? The shielder asked. Look above us, the mage said as he looked in the sky. No, it's already too late. So that's why. Everyone followed his line of sight. They saw several layers of barrier forming around them. The shielder and mage understood why no one was attacking them. They thought that the enemies already left, but they were preparing to imprison them using barrier spells. Then, a black mist filled the space inside the barrier. It was the worst scenario for them. The enemies wanted to eliminate them at this moment. Stay close to each other. Don't leave anyone's line of sight, the shielder shouted as he instructed his comrades. We don't know how our opponents will attack us, but prepare yourself for the worst. The mage opened his mouth. Creepy silence enveloped everyone as no one dared to utter a single sound. After a few moments, they heard faint howling sounds. It feels that someone was whispering in their ears. Welcome to the journey of despair. Lin slumped on the ground after casting several barrier spells. She drained her mana by casting these powerful barriers that could hold a few B ranks for half an hour. This was by far the best barrier spell that she casted in her entire life. This was the result of her training. Thanks for the hard work. Sota smiled as he gave her some mana potions. No, I'm glad that I could help you. Lin shook her head. Stay here and continue to pour your mana and barrier spells. Yuko and I will handle the rest, Sota said to her. I'll do my best, Lin said to him with determination in her eyes. It's too early for you to see what will happen next, Sota thought as he walked beside Yuko. You were being considerate to her feelings. It's a good improvement, Saya said to him. He doesn't want to show Lin what will he do to the people inside the barrier. She had to take it step by step if she wanted to get used to brutal scene. Her mind wouldn't be able to handle it if she skips a step. He knew how kind Lin is, so if she suddenly saw a brutal scene, much less if he was the one who did it, then she will be traumatized, and Sota doesn't want that to happen. That's why he's keeping her away from the meantime. His opponents have several B rank in their forces, so he didn't want to fight them in a head-on battle. They will undoubtedly lose unless Yuko used her blessings. That's why Sota had to get tricky to defeat those B ranks. Well, he already had a plan in his mind. Sota and Yuko entered the barrier and Lin closed it after they've gone inside. The shielder and his comrades were looking around with a wary expression. The thick black mist was blocking their vision, so it was hard for them to make a move in this situation. They didn't even know the abilities and skills of their opponents. This mist decreases our strength and senses. The mage opened his eyes widely as he realized the effect of the mist. He waved the wand in his hand and casted wind magic to blow the black mist. Swoosh. The wind blew the black mist, but it was futile. The black mist still covered them after a few seconds. No matter how much he used wind magic, the black mist will appear again and again as long as they were inside the range of the spell. Dark Cloud Hunting was a spell that could enhance the caster's ability and decrease the opponent's ability at the same time. It was a powerful spell of Soda that he unlocked after promoting his class to Battle Mage. It's useless to blow the black mist, the mage said while gritting his teeth. He then waved his hands and casted buff spells to his comrades. Leader, the one who attacked me is the commander of the Dark Oculus Legion, the woman named Raimi said to the shielder. Her expression was bad, but she could now handle herself compared to when they found her. That man. So he decided to move. The shielder was surprised at first, but he understood that no one could easily defeat a B rank except for the founder of the Dark Oculus Legion. He understood it himself that the newly established Legion didn't have that much manpower, so Soda needed to make a move himself to decrease the burdens of his subordinate. I will never forgive that man, the swordsman said with anger in his eyes. Shh, I hear something, the rogue in their party said. Everyone shut their mouth and perked up their ears. They heard faint howling sounds like someone was whispering in their ears, it coming in every direction, so it was hard to pinpoint it. Every second the voices grew louder. Voices of people grieving and crying were all over the place. It shook the heart of the people that heard it. We wouldn't get anything if we stayed in this place. I think we should send some people to look around to see if the enemies are here, the rogue suggested to them. Fine, but who will lead the force? The shielder asked. I will lead the other rogues, the rogue replied to his leader. The shielder and the rest agreed to him. Then, the rogue departed to check the area around them. He brought 5 people in case something happened to them. What do you think will happen to us? The shielder asked the mage. I don't know, but I have a bad feeling about the voices. The voices are real, they are not illusions. The mage shook his head. I'll try firing some spells. The mage stepped forward and casted a series of powerful spells. Wind Cutter, Gust Blade, Gale Bomb. The spells landed on the barrier and caused a loud explosion. The explosion shook the entire area, but nothing happened to the barrier. His spells didn't even manage to scratch it. Just like what I thought. We wouldn't be able to shatter this barrier, the mage said. They healed and woke everyone for half an hour, so the enemies prepared this barrier in that time, so there's no doubt that this barrier was tough. He could create a barrier as strong as this one if he prepared it for half an hour, but it was hard to use it to imprison his enemies. I understand, so reserve your mana. We need your strength, the shielder said to him. After a few minutes, the rogue and the rest came back. There are no people, but I could feel that someone is watching us within this thick black mist, the rogue said while shaking his head. Also, I've found that this barrier is 100 meter in radius with us the center of it. The area inside the barrier was huge. They could instantly guess that this place was like a maze of death. Creepy things were lurking around in the shadows watching their movements. They could break this barrier by combining their strength, but what if the enemies were waiting for them to exhaust their strength by breaking the barrier? Just one wrong move and it will lead to their doom. While they were talking, several black tentacles emerged from the ground. They quickly moved away as the tentacles stretched out towards them. Everyone retreat. Move away from these vile things. The shielder and mage shouted at the same time. The black tentacles moved and targeted the weakest members of their group. Swoosh, swoosh. The swordsman and the rogue swiftly moved from side to side as they tried to cut the black tentacles. But the problem for them was that the number of black tentacles. No matter how much they cut it, another one would just emerge from the ground. There's no end to it, Frankie, Raimi said to the swordsman. It doesn't matter. Just move back to away from these tentacles. The swordsman named Frankie said as he slashed his sword left and right. Swoosh, swoosh. One of the tentacles managed to grab one of their C-rank members. The tentacles pulled the man away. Arg, help me. Frankie, help. No. The voices of their comrades echoed as the tentacles broke their defense and took the weakest members of their group. The black tentacles weren't a problem for B ranks as they could easily avoid it, but for C ranks, it was a nightmare for them. Frankie widely opened his eyes as he watched the black tentacles took his comrades one by one. The scream and cry of his comrades rung in his head. AHHH. He roared as he tried to help his remaining comrades. Before everyone realized it, they got separated into 2 groups. The shielder's group and Frankie's group. We've got separated from, leader. This is bad. Splitting us is the true motive of our opponent, the mage said with a pale expression. He gritted his teeth and said, we should have gone all out from the start. This wouldn't happen if we weren't too cautious. He looked at them and took a deep breath. Their force was still great as they have 4 B rank in their group. Raimi, Frankie, the healer, and he were all B ranks. They were a force to reckon in the circle of adventurers. Plus, there were 7 C rank adventurers with them. If they anticipated the opponent's movement, then they could win this fight. In this battle, he realized one thing. By splitting their group means that their opponents wanted to avoid a direct battle against them. It means that they have a chance to win if they could find their opponents and force them to fight. We need to find our leader as soon as possible, the healer said with a pale expression. It seems that she too understood the plan of their opponents. Yeah, they will attack one of our groups. The mage nodded with a gloomy look. In the midair close to the barrier, Soto was looking at them with a wide grin on his face. He drank a bottle of mana potion and said, "It seems that they treasure their comrades, right? Ufufu, what an evil goblin you are." Saya chuckled at his words. "I admit it, they are strong but... what about if I break their mind? Can they still show those skills of theirs? This is just the beginning of the show.